For the dough, I have milk, unsalted butter cut into pieces, sugar, active dry yeast, water, eggs, salt, and all-purpose flour. Okay, the first thing you want to do is bring your milk up to a low simmer, just when you start to see it bubble. Then you turn off the flame. You're going to add your softened butter into it, and that will melt. And your sugar. Okay, and let that butter melt in there. It's very important you cut the butter into small pieces so it'll melt. It has to completely melt. By it being slightly cool, this will also lower the temperature of your milk. Very important not to add the yeast to this milk if it's too hot. So check it with the thermometer. It should be roughly at about 105, anywhere from 90 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, in this other container I have water that's roughly already about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's right about 100 degrees, as you can see. So then we're going to add our yeast to that. Add your yeast. Until it bubbles. Okay, these are going to be your liquids here. So very important that this is at room temperature. While the liquids are cooling, go ahead and add your salt into your flour. Mix it up thoroughly. After the milk has cooled down to the proper temperature, you're going to go ahead and add your yeast, which is already foamy. You'll add your eggs. Give it a quick stir. Going to place it into a stand-up mixer with the dough hook, and you're going to add it in slowly, the flour, a little bit at a time. Okay, you're going to start with half and slowly work it in. It's going to be sticky, so we'll just go ahead and start with half. Don't forget, I already have the salt in here. Start it on low. And make sure you get the flour incorporated in there. So give it a few little mixes. Again, this is going to be very sticky. You're going to have to use more flour to work with it. Okay. Keep working it in until you get it all in. Add more flour. Okay, once it's done here, lower it down, and then you're going to work it in. So you can see it's going to be really sticky. So this is where you're going to have to work some flour into it. Okay, for your dough, you're going to lay some flour down. Okay, here's your dough. Again, it's really sticky, so you're going to need flour. You don't want it to get, you don't want to use too much flour. You want to keep it as light as possible so that it just barely doesn't stick to your hands. The more flour you put in it, the drier it's going to be. You want it to be nice and soft, and also you're going to lose some of that softness. So just work some flour right on the top and slowly work it in. Just like that. Avoid it sticking to your hands if at all possible. We're just going to work it in so it's manageable, so we can work it in. And this is about where you want it. Just like that. Okay, don't add any more flour if you need to. So it's still going to be a little sticky, but the stickier the better. For the cinnamon filling, combined cinnamon, brown sugar, butter, and then if you want to add walnuts, that's optional. Make sure the butter is softened and just mix it up thoroughly. This is going to be your filling for your cinnamon rolls. So make sure it gets completely mixed in. Okay, the next step is you're going to add a little flour down. After this is manageable, actually put it right on a silk pad, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, and then you're going to roll it into a rectangle, roughly the same size as the silk pad within the lines. It's a lot easier to work with if you do it this way. So just work it in. You can stretch the edges. If it starts to stick, add a little flour. Work it in. Work it in with your fingers. Just like that. Give it another little. So it should be a little sticky. The stickier the better, but it has to be manageable. Okay, so once you got it to this stage, then you're going to add your filling. Make sure that this filling goes from end to end. So make sure you have it at the very end here, all the way across. So just go end to end, very important. Some other things you can do if you wanted to add chocolate in here, you can add chocolate chips. That's another idea you could use. You could also use, of course, walnuts, pecans. Okay, next step is you're going to roll it. So you want to make sure you get it started here. So you roll it just like this. Just like that. Then you're going to make sure you get these ends sealed. So bring the end over, as you can see. Make sure it's completely sealed. And then you want to make sure that this side, this seam is down. Okay, and then just fold it over again just to make sure that it's completely sealed. So I'm tightening it up and then I'm bringing it around so it's completely sealed. Just like that. And then, very important that this seam, which is right here, is going to be on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over. Okay, so that seam is on the bottom. So it's just like that. Okay. Then you are going to cut it and then place it on a sheet pan and you're going to let it proof overnight. Okay, so the next step, as you can see, I got it on a sill pad. You want to transfer it to a cutting board. Be careful when you're working with it. And then we're going to place this on here. From this point, you guys will end up using a parchment paper. Okay, we'll have you work with it with the sill pad. And we're going to go into parchment paper here. So you're going to cut these into cinnamon rolls. Just like this. So we place these on here. Just like that. And as you can see, and there you go. Then you're going to refrigerate. We'll cover them, we'll refrigerate them, proof them, and bake them off. For the cream cheese frosting, we have softened butter and cream cheese with a little salt. We're going to mix that up. Just make sure it gets mixed in. Then you're going to add your vanilla. And your powdered sugar. And mix it in. Be careful when you mix it.
Once proofed, place in a 400-degree oven and bake for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. Remove from oven, this is what it'll look like. Let it rest for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes and then you're going to add your cream cheese frosting on top.
Okay, once it cools off for about 10 minutes, either with the pastry bag or a Ziploc bag, place the cream cheese on top, just a little bit on each one, and then if you need to come back to add more, you can. And then if you want to spread it on, you can spread it on. This should melt a little bit in there. It's still warm.
And there you go. There's your cinnamon roll.